Deep in a sun-dappled forest, nestled high in the branches of a grand old oak tree, lived a tiny squirrel with a very big heart. His name was Squeaky, and his fur was the color of autumn leaves. Squeaky had a special treasure, a perfectly smooth, wonderfully round acorn. It was his favorite, and he carried it everywhere. One sunny morning, while Squeaky was practicing his balancing act on a long, bouncy branch, something unexpected happened. Wobble, wobble, ... whoops. His precious acorn slipped from his paws, tumbled down the branch, bounced off a mushroom, and rolled right out of sight into the tall, mysterious grass below. Squeaky's heart did a little flip-flop. His favorite acorn was gone. Peering down from his cozy home, the world below looked enormous and a little bit scary, but the thought of his lost treasure gave him a surge of courage. Taking a deep breath, he decided he had to go on an adventure to find it. He scurried down the rough bark of the oak tree, his tiny claws making soft scratching sounds. Landing on the forest floor, the blades of grass towered over him like a giant green jungle. "Hello," he called out, his voice a small squeak in the big wide world. "Has anyone seen my acorn?" A line of busy ants marched past, each carrying a crumb much bigger than itself. Squeaky politely asked the leader, "Excuse me, Mr. Ant, have you seen a shiny round acorn?" The ant paused, wiggled his antennae, and pointed forward. "We saw something roll that way, little one. Follow the winding path of pebbles." Thanking the ant, Squeaky scampered along the pebble path. The stones were warm from the sun, and colorful butterflies danced in the air above him. The path led him to a patch of bright blue flowers, where a fuzzy bumblebee was buzzing happily, collecting sweet nectar. "Hello, Mrs. Bumblebee," Squeaky said politely. "I've lost my favorite acorn. It rolled this way. Did you happen to see it?" The bee buzzed thoughtfully. "Bzzzzz. I did. It rolled right past my flowers and plopped into the little stream over there. Be careful, the water moves fast." Squeaky's heart sank a little. A stream. He was a bit afraid of water, but he remembered his courage. He tiptoed to the edge of the babbling brook. The water sparkled and giggled as it flowed over smooth stones. And there, bobbing gently near the other side, was his acorn. It was stuck between two smooth grey rocks. But how could he get across? Just then, a wise old turtle, sunning himself on a log, slowly opened one eye. "Having trouble, little fella?" the turtle asked in a slow, kind voice. Squeaky explained his problem. The turtle smiled. "Courage isn't about not being afraid," he said. "It's about doing it anyway. Hop on my back. I'll give you a ride." Squeaky felt a wave of gratitude. He carefully climbed onto the turtle's strong, patterned shell. The turtle glided smoothly through the water, like a little fairy boat. On the other side, Squeaky hopped off and quickly grabbed his acorn, hugging it tightly. "Oh, thank you, thank you." He chirped to the turtle. Holding his treasure, Squeaky looked back at the path he had traveled. He had talked to ants, bees, and even ridden on a turtle's back. The forest didn't seem so scary anymore. It was full of friends and wonders. With a happy heart and his favorite acorn tucked safely in his paws, Squeaky scampered all the way back home to his cozy nest in the grand old oak tree. He realized that the adventure to find his acorn was an even greater treasure than the acorn itself. He had found something new and wonderful, his own bravery, and he knew from that day on that even the tiniest squirrel could have the biggest adventures. Thank you for joining Squeaky on his wonderful journey. If you loved this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. See you next time. Hello, little dreamers, and welcome to our magical story corner. Are you ready for an adventure? Today we're flying high into the sparkling mountains to meet a very special friend. Deep, deep in a world painted with rainbows and shimmering with light lived a tiny dragon named Flicker. Now, Flicker wasn't a big, roaring dragon. Oh no, he was small, with scales that sparkled like emeralds, and a heart full of kindness. He loved exploring the colorful caves and chasing the fluffy, cotton candy clouds that drifted by his mountain home. One sunny morning, while practicing his little puffs of smoke, which looked more like sparkly glitter than anything scary, Flicker noticed something new. Tucked beneath the root of an ancient singing tree was a tiny stone. It wasn't a regular stone, though. This one hummed with a soft, gentle light, shining brighter than any gold or diamond Flicker had ever seen. Ooh, a treasure, he whispered, his big, curious eyes wide with wonder. He carefully scooped it up with his little claws. It was warm and pulsed with a friendly glow, as if it was happy to see him. Flicker decided to call it his tiny treasure. He carried it everywhere. He showed it to the giggling streams, who bubbled with delight. He showed it to the wise old mountain goats, who nodded their heads in approval. The treasure seemed to love the attention, glowing even brighter whenever Flicker shared his world with it. He polished it with the softest leaves and sang it little dragon lullabies at night. For Flicker, this tiny, shining stone was the most precious thing in the whole world. He felt so happy, so proud to have found something so special. But one evening, as the stars began to pop out in the velvet sky, something magical happened. The tiny treasure began to glow brighter and brighter, its light filling Flicker's cozy cave with a warm golden shimmer. The light swirled and danced, and then, poof, a tiny fluttery creature appeared, hovering right above the stone. It looked like a firefly, but its wings were made of pure starlight, and it left a trail of tiny, glowing hearts wherever it flew. Flicker gasped, his little dragon heart thumping with surprise. The starlight creature giggled, a sound like tiny bells ringing. "Thank you, little dragon," it chimed. "You found me. I am a pixie of friendship, and I was trapped inside that stone, waiting for a heart pure and kind enough to set me free." Flicker blinked. "You were the treasure?" he asked, a little confused. The pixie of friendship zipped around his head playfully. "The stone was just a stone," she explained. "The real magic, the real treasure, was your kindness. You cared for the stone not because it was valuable, but because you gave it your love. Suddenly, Flicker understood. He hadn't just found a shiny rock, he had found a friend. The pixie, whose name was Sparkle, began to visit him every day. They would play hide and seek among the giant, colorful flowers and tell stories under the twinkling stars. Flicker learned that sharing his joy with Sparkle made his happiness grow even bigger. His little treasure wasn't something he could hold, but something he could feel in his heart. One day, a grumpy old badger whose heart had become as hard as a rock tried to steal the glowing stone, thinking it was a gem of great worth. He snatched it and ran, but the stone was now just a plain, dull rock. It had no glow, no magic at all. Flicker, instead of being angry, felt sad for the badger. With Sparkle by his side, he went to find him. "You can have the stone," Flicker said gently, "but the real treasure was never the stone itself. It's the friendship that made it glow." The badger was stunned. He saw the genuine kindness in Flicker's eyes and the happy glow of Sparkle the pixie. His grumpy heart began to soften, just a little. He returned the stone and, for the first time in a long time, he smiled. He learned from the little dragon that the greatest treasures aren't things you can keep, but the love and kindness you share with others. From that day on, the mountains were filled not just with the glow of one pixie, but with the warmth of 3 new friends. And so, Flicker the little dragon realized the most wonderful truth of all. The tiniest treasures can hold the biggest meaning, not because of what they are, but because they come from the heart. True treasures are not made of gold or gems, but of friendship, courage, and love. They are the magical things that make our own hearts shine brightly, forever and ever. I hope you enjoyed our story about Flicker and his wonderful discovery. Remember, the greatest magic in the world is the kindness you share. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you loved our adventure, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that little bell so you won't miss our next magical tale. Sweet dreams, little adventurers.